sure everything is put in order. And
Are
if
you
you don't
looking
put things
for
in
the top
order
radio
and
station
you call
in
yourself
South
government,
Sudan?
what kind of government are you? These traffic police must be retrained and resume paying their salaries on time. Then if there are people who still with that mindset collecting money from the people, then you need to take disciplinary measures on those individuals. Unfortunately, no one doing it. You see them talking rapidly and they are not even doing the right thing. For how long, Ajama, we will continue like this? It is very bad and it is very embarrassing.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The Vatican has announced that Pope Francis died this morning. A national lawmaker from Piji County in Jonglei State is appealing to humanitarian organizations to assist thousands of displaced individuals following an attack by an armed group yesterday. The Minister of Information in Abyei has made an urgent appeal to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and 8 organizations to relocate some 7,000 fleeing Sudanese from Abyei to designated refugee camps in Awil, northern Bahr el Ghazal state as the rainy season intensifies. This is stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. The Vatican has announced that Pope Francis has died this morning. According to Cardinal Kevin Farrell Camerlengo, who broke the news, Pope Francis died at 7:35 a.m. He was 88 years old. Eulogizing Pope, Cardinal Kevin confirmed, and I quote, "The Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the home of the Father. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and of His Church. He taught us to live the values of the gospel with faithfulness, courage, and universal love, especially for the poorest and the most marginalized." End quote. Pope Francis died exactly a month after he was discharged from a hospital in Rome where he was admitted with lung complications. South Sudanese communities will remember Pope Francis for his 4-day historical visit to South Sudan on February 3rd in a bid to promote peace and reconciliation. In 2019, Pope Francis kissed the feet of South Sudanese leaders during a retreat in the Vatican in a show of humility aimed at encouraging the leaders in strengthening the peace process. The Minister of Humanitarian, the Minister of Information in Abyei has made an urgent appeal to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and 8 organizations to relocate some 7,000 fleeing Sudanese from Abyei to designated refugee camps in Awil, northern Bahr el Ghazal state as the rainy season intensifies. Speaking to iRadio, Minister Joanna Akol explained that the Abyei area is currently crowded with displaced persons from Sudan due to the insecurity. According to the plan of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, the Abyei administration is considered a transit station towards the camps in northern Bahr el Ghazal state, but due to some circumstances, the refugees settled in Abyei. He emphasized that the influx of the refugees has overwhelmed local health and food services, straining the host community. The Abyei authorities are urging for shift coordination, logistical support to transfer the refugees to their intended destinations to prevent a humanitarian crisis and ensure access to adequate services.
الأبياء أو إدارة الأبياء أنشطة مكتظة كمية من اللاجئين والنازحين من دولة السودان يعنجوا بأعداد كبيرة ما يقدر ب7,000 لاجئ. الأبياء وفقا للخطة بتاع وزارة الشؤون الإنسانية بتاعتها هي منطقة العبور، لكن بظروف ما يعني نازل ما قدروا يتحركوا يمشوا صوب مدينة أول اللي هي يعني وفقا للخطة بتاع وزارة الشؤون الإنسانية إن هي لاجئين بتاع دولة السودان بيقعدوا فيه ويستقروا فيه على أساس هي المنطقة المجهز، لكن نحن فوجئنا إنه عدد كبير بقى يستقروا هنا. التحديات كثيرة، مثلا عندنا الخريف جاي والناس زال يعني القاعدين بكميه في ضغط كبير في الخدمات الاساسيه موجوده في مدينه ابيي. في نفس الوقت يعني هيكون في انعكاسات صحيه، فعشان كده احنا قاعدين نناشد المنظمات وبنناشد وزاره الشؤون الانسانيه برضه انه برضه يسرعوا ويعملوا الاجراءات اللازمه ل.
A national lawmaker from Piji County in Jonglei State is appealing to humanitarian organizations to assist thousands of displaced individuals following an attack by an armed group yesterday. According to Elizabeth Akwal, Piji County came under attack by the White Army, allegedly backed by the SPLA-IO yesterday morning. Akwal stated that despite the attackers being repelled by the SSPDF in the area, the entire population of the county was displaced to Ashab Nile in Panyikang County of Upper Nile State. She added that the majority of the displaced persons are women, children and elderly individuals who are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance, including food, shelter and medical care. She spoke to journalists in Juba yesterday.
As the results of what happened, the whole of the Piji County, being women, children, and vulnerable persons, are displaced. They have crossed to the other side of the river in a place called Shabanil Dolep Hill. I am now appealing to the humanitarian agencies and our government as well to intervene in assisting the internal displaced person, IDPs, where they are taking refuge, with food items, non-food items, and medicines.
That was a national lawmaker from Piji County in Jonglei State. Authorities in Central Equatoria State have cautioned the public against unauthorized individuals collecting money for distribution of land across the capital and urge individuals to use the legal procedures. The State Minister of Housing, Land and Utilities, David Morbe, says some individuals claim they were authorized by the state or national government to process and distribute land in Juba County. Minister Morbe said the national or state government are not part of what he termed as illegal land distribution and double issuance occurring in several areas of Juba. He cautioned the public against falling victim to land fraud and urged citizens to follow legal procedures when acquiring land for settlement. The official was speaking on the state-run TVSSBC over the weekend.
عشان كده احنا بنعلم بقوة وبشدة لأي مواطن جنوبي ساكن في جوبا وفي مناطق حول جوبا في جوبا كاونتي إنه ما يتعامل مع المجرمين دول وما يتعامل مع الناس الغير شرعيين ده، لأنه هم جمع مبالغ جمع قروش كتير جدا من الناس المساكين أبرياء، والناس هم في حوجة دايرين يسكنوا صح، لكن الطريقة اللي هم عملوه هو ما طريقة صحيح، لأنه طريقة صحيح هو بدي زول إنه يكون عنده حقه في النهاية. إحنا دايرين نعلم إنه كل النشاطات القائم غير قانونيا وما عنده مكانة، وكل الاليجيشنز اللي هم بيقول إنه الوزارة القومية ولا وزارة الولاية جزء من النشاطات ده، إحنا دايرين نقول إنه الحكومة ما جزء من كل ممارسات الماسية on the ground.
Minister Morbe says a land committee formed under the directive of President Salva Kiir in April 2024 has made progress and is working to organize the city and ensure land distribution is done legally.
إنه إحنا في الوزارة وفي الحكومة وبسيبة خاصة اللجنة اللي خونوا His Excellency the President عشان يشوف في مواضيع المشاكل العشوائية والمشاكل اللاند جرابينج. احنا شغالين واحنا عندنا خطط عشان كيف احنا نقوم بعمليه التنظيم المدينه وكيف يتم عمليه توزيع الاراضي بطريقه قانونيه. ده اللجنه احنا شغالين واحنا لسه في المراحل مش بدائيا قطعنا شوط واحنا ماشيين نعمل الكلام ده. عشان كده احنا دايرين نفرق بين اللجنه الموجوده هو شغال كحكومه.
The Jonglei State Security Committee has imposed an immediate ban on the carrying of firearms by civilians within Bor Town, Nyok Aganj and Laudiet ports. The decision followed a meeting last Wednesday chaired by the newly appointed Governor Dr. Yagai Cook. The committee noted growing concerns over the presence of armed youth in Bor Town, Marol Market and two river ports. In addition to the arms ban, the committee has also prohibited the use of metallic iron pipes as makeshift weapons by youth in these areas. Under the new regulations, violators could face imprisonment or fines. Full-time offenders may be sentenced to up to 6 months in prison or a fine, while repeat offenders could face up to 12 months in prison or a higher fine. The state police, national security, and the state military police will oversee enforcement of these new measures with support from local block leaders and chiefs to ensure compliance. This is iRadio News, and now to the international scene. China has warned it will hit back at countries that make deals with the U.S. that had Beijing's interests as the trade war between the world's two biggest economies threatens to drag in other nations. The comments came after reports that the U.S. plans to pressure governments to restrict trade with China in exchange for exemptions to U.S. tariffs. The Trump administration has started talks with trading partners over tariffs, with a Chinese delegation visiting Washington last week, and South Korea is set to start negotiations this week. Palestinian Red Crescent Society has described an Israeli military report into a deadly attack on its paramedics as full of lies. The Israeli military said in its report that professional failures led to the killing of the workers in Gaza. It dismissed the deputy commander of the unit involved. A spokesperson for the PRCS said the report was invalid as it justifies and shifts the responsibility to a personnel error in the field command when the truth is quite different. 14 emergency workers and a UN worker were killed on 23rd of March after a convoy of PRC's ambulances, a UN car, and a hire truck came under fire by the Israeli military. Ukraine's military has reported Russian drone attacks on several regions overnight, just hours after the end of the 30-hour Easter truce declared by Moscow. Air raid alerts were issued by Ukraine's Air Force for the Kiev region as well as Kherson, Dnipro, Cherkasy, Mykolaiv, and Zaporizhia. In the southern city, Mayor Alexander said explosions were heard. It was not immediately clear whether there were any casualties. This is iRadio Morning News, and now to the world of sports. In the latest round of the South Sudan Premier League, Holy Family Rumbek will take on Bentiu City this afternoon, while Wajum FC will host Salama Will in a Will derby at the Premier League level. Meanwhile, at the Juba National Stadium, tomorrow South Sudan Cup semi-final will commence with Majaka Jong playing Jamus FC Juba this afternoon, while Gold Star will face Corium. And elsewhere, Federico Valverde's stunning stoppage time strike kept Real Madrid in the La Liga title hunt as Carlo Ancelotti's side eventually overcame stubborn Atletico Bilbao at the Bernabeu. Valverde crashed an emphatic half volley into the top corner with the outside of his left foot 3 minutes into time, added on to finally reward incessant second half pressure from the host. It was his 6th league goal this season, but first since December against Sevilla. Victory kept Real, who were without France's striker Kylian Mbappe, as he served a one-match ban following a red card in a 1-0 win at Alves, 4 points behind leaders Barcelona with 6 games to go. World number 1 Ariana Sabalenka reached her 4th staggered open final with hard-fought 7-5, 6-5 win over Italy's Jasmine Paolini. The 26-year-old is targeting a first title, though having lost to Ash Barty in 2021 and Iga Swiatek in both 2022-2023. Sabalenka held her nerve to take the first set despite almost throwing away a 5-2 lead before Paolini started strongly to win the first 3 games of the second. But breaks in the 5th and 9th games saw Sabalenka fight back to set up a final meeting with Jelena Ostapenko on Monday. This is iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here is a recap of the headlines. The Vatican has announced that Pope Francis died this morning. Authorities in Central Equatorial State have cautioned the public against ongoing land distribution in parts of Cuba and urged individuals to use the legal procedures. And the Minister of Information in Abia has made an urgent appeal to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and aid organizations to relocate 7,000 fleeing Sudanese from Abia to designated refugee camps in Abia, northern Bahr el Ghazal state as the rainy season intensifies. That's the end of iRadio News. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287 870. It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 12:30. I am Lasuba Memo. Thank you for listening.